The green that I wanted to use to enhance the white flowers turned out to be permanent green light. I couldn't see the label, but it's definitely permanent green light, and it's not a cool color, it's a warm color, so it didn't enhance or help the white flowers to stand out at all. Plus, it just was not a nice green for this painting. So now I have used phthalo green, which is much darker, and it is the cool green. That plus the Viridian green are the only two cool greens I've actually got. So now I'm trying to decide whether I should add some sap green to it, because I've added sap green over there and it's toned down quite a bit, or should I add a bit of white and then make it a medium sort of tone of green, and that will also still be cooler than the white and might help to bring it out. So I guess I'll just mix it with a little of the sap green and cool green phthalo green mixture. I'll put more phthalo green and more white than sap green, and see if I can change it. And I'm using the angled brush. It definitely makes better leaves than of this kind of leaf that I want, than the Fulart brush. And also it kind of gives you an automatic line in the center. So now that's not quite as dark as I wanted it, but sometimes it takes layers to get where you need to be. And also leaves are usually not just, you can't just do them in one shade. So I've added the mixture of phthalo green and sap green all around, and there you can see it mixed nicely. Although the phthalo green is translucent, so it kind of leaves a background color. But I definitely can't leave it like this. So other than that, I have added a bit of magenta where I thought it needed to be. And I watched some videos on magnolias, and there's a magnolia called the Jane magnolia, and it has, when it's closed, the outer petals are magenta, and when they're open, they're white on the inside with maybe just little streaks of magenta. So I would say this is a Jane magnolia. It's definitely not the grandiflora. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I've completed the rest of the leaves. The phthalo green was a nice color, but it was just too hard. It really doesn't suit this painting at all. So I covered it over with a mixture of a layer of sap green, raw umber and white. And it has toned it down a bit, but I'm not sure that it's enough yet. I'll have to wait again until it's dry and see. In the meantime, I'm going to add a few magentas, magnolias that are just the buds that are magenta. I'm just going to put them in randomly using one side of the Fulart. Just buds that are not open, just to add some color and see what that does. Since these buds are, these magnolias are Jane magnolias, and they apparently are magenta before they open, and the buds underneath, the petals underneath look magenta, but on top they look white. And so you see that bit of magenta showing through, but sometimes you see a bit more. So like here we're seeing the underneath side of this magnolia. We can just paint that magenta. So that's all I'm going to do today. I'm going to leave it until maybe later today. I'll come back and see how it settles. I also added a bit more yellow back around there because I had changed the painting so much that the original colour there was gone. And I did want that one to be sort of highlighted by the yellow. So tell me what you think in the comments. Should I make the leaves all back to the same colour they were originally, or should I leave them like this? I've added white to all the leaves I didn't like, and I'm busy blending the white in now. So I just put a dab of white on each and left it there because I have to wipe my brush in between before I can actually blend it in. So that's what I'm doing now, and I'm hoping that will bring it back to almost what it was before. Not exactly, because I did want a bit of contrast, but not as much as there was. Like this one, there's still too much contrast. I obviously forgot to go into that leaf with the sap green, so I'll have to go back there. Sometimes I just don't see things. That already helps. Carried on making changes. I changed the green a lot. I had a lot of sap green and white, and then some highlights of yellow. I made changes on the petals of the magenta magnolias as well. I highlighted the white magnolias with some yellow, and so I just sort of finished the details wherever I saw that some changes needed to be made. So I think I'll leave it there unless I have a change of heart in the morning. I think I'm happy with the colour. I should have left it the way it was. I'm a bit sorry I didn't, but I guess when I go walking and I look at the tree, I'll probably see green leaves of all colours. So I get no need to be fixated on the sap green, although it just was a more harmonious background when the leaves were mostly sap green. So to me anyway. When I watch the video, the leaves don't appear as a darker shade as they do when I'm sitting in front of them. But this is, after all, what I'm going to be looking at, so I have to make them a lighter shade. It's not just a question of the value, it's definitely a question of the green. I just don't like that green shade. It just doesn't go with the rest of the colours in this painting. So I am going to make another attempt to make them much lighter sap green, just using a mixture of white and sap green. Sorry, my voice is still bad, I'm still sick. And also I don't like these two big leaves here now. They could be actual sepals containing flowers, but the viewer wouldn't know that, so they just look like leaves. So I need to make them half that size, half magenta and the other half green. But I'll start by making, I'll make the lower half even lighter green than it is. I have actually put yellow over to indicate some sunlight, but it's not really showing very much. So I'll do that first, see how that looks, and then move on to the other leaves, which are generally all around. Of course, one does see different shades, but something just doesn't go with this palette. Of course, it's coming off too light, much too light. That's a bit better. So there was a point in the painting when I said, I'm happy with the painting, but there's still a lot to do. I should have stopped then, because that's when I started to add these different shades of green and got more and more away from the original palette scheme. So now trying to change the colors means waiting for the paint to dry. If I had wiped the paint off straight away, it would be different, but I didn't, because each time I thought this is how I wanted to look, and then when it's dry I see it's not how I want it to look. So I'll carry on and I'll bring you back when I have completed the leaves. So after covering all the leaves with a soft layer of the white and sap green mixture, I'm now coming back with a bit of more just sap green, and you can see there, and I'll show you on another one, I'm just going to the base of the leaf and then putting in sap green and just fanning it out a bit. not all the way, just to create that feeling of, from dark to light. Yes, you can do it on the half of the flower, or you can do it this way. I like this effect that this has. And some of the flowers where the petals were very defined, before it dried, I just took my finger and I rubbed off the edges so that they were a bit blurry, so that they look faded into the distance. So I think this will definitely improve the final outcome. You can see what I'm doing here. Just taking the dark, and now my brush is a little bit too dry. And just fanning out the colour, because you don't want it to just be one bland colour. You can sometimes, you can kind of make a line through and just do one half. Just make all the leaves look a little different from each other. You don't need to use the same technique on all of them. Like there, I'll just do that. I'll do a little bit more there, because these are now on the side, so they might be a little darker than the central leaves, which are in the bright sunlight. And yeah, I'm still going to go for my walk now, even though I'm sick. And I'm going to try and see if I can go past the tree that I last saw and see what stage the flowers are in now. There were two trees, and I think the one had absolutely nothing on it at the time I walked past the last time, but they are demolishing the buildings there, so maybe they're just digging around the trees, I don't know. I carried on adding colour to the leaves and making them all more of a sap green, and then I changed some of the leaves to petals in this magenta shade, but just a mixture of the two shades, so as not to be too sort of, to take the attention too much away from the white flower. And then I added some light to the white petals, some sunlight, and around it again where I had diluted some of the sunlight, and generally just softened the leaves all over. And now I think I've reached the point where I am happy with it. I lightened all of these flowers a bit, although they come out a completely different colour in my camera to what I'm seeing in front of me. What I'm seeing in the camera is actually much nicer than what I'm seeing in front of me, which is a much darker magenta. So we'll see what comes out on my computer. But anyway, it's the first time I've actually noticed that. Maybe it's just the light I'm in, the sunlight has faded, there's just a bit of light behind me, and but everything else looks more or less the same colours. It's only that shade that I'm seeing differently. The background colours all look the same, and the background colours are just a lovely mixture now. Now they really are blended perfectly. They're not, they're not taking over the painting. They're just sort of bringing the light in from behind the painting and adding to the light that's coming from the front of the painting. So I think I'm happy with it. I'm going to leave it now, and I'll take a photograph at the end. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too tedious, and I try to learn a little bit about each plant as I go from flower to flower, or bird or animal, and share my knowledge with you. But the magnolia there's a lot of information about the magnolia. There was actually too much to add into this one video, so if you are interested, look it up. It's really a fascinating flower. And there are many different varieties of magnolia as well. So again, thank you for watching, and please leave a comment and like and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye for now.